Pro Ball Spark. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Count with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Paul Jones Drug Tuesday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Get into some more kind of the local flavor at the end of the show. High school baseball, fast pitch regional assignments were released officially yesterday. So we can kind of talk about where everybody's headed, maybe even when some of those will be, as there's been some changes already due to the weather forecast at the end of the week. So we got that. We got some collegiate golf going on with some youngsters from around here doing really well. So we can talk about that. NFL draft just a couple of days away. A couple of teams that have some interesting decisions to make, and I think that'll be sort of how the draft goes will be dependent upon what these teams do. So New England at 3. Conventional wisdom tells you they will take a quarterback. But what if they don't? And somebody else wants to? If you're New England and you depending on what you think about, say, it looks like Drake May was going to be the guy that's there. Let's flip back and forth between him and Jalen Daniels. Right now, it looks like it's going to go Williams 1, Daniels 2, and now you've got a choice of Drake May, maybe J.J. McCarthy, maybe you've fallen in love with him, or move down and get picks. What would you do? Then at the next pick, the Cardinals. Their GM yesterday opened for business at number 4. They obviously don't need a quarterback because they have paid one in Kyler Murray. So do you just go ahead and draft Marvin Harrison? Or would you trade down and supplement that way? Would not surprise me at all if Justin Fields is not a Steeler by Monday. That seems like a Steelery move. Make a trade for him, look smart. All the other teams go, oh, the Steelers like Justin Fields. There must be something to him. And then be able to flip him for some draft capital. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. What do you think about that? Who has a chance? What team has a chance to be this year's Texans? We saw Houston last year use the draft to really kind of propel them to where they ended up as a team that was in the divisional round of the playoffs when nobody expected anything out of Houston. So is there a team that might be able to kind of use the draft that way? And if so, who is it? And then just flat out, who's the best player in this draft? Then at the top of the show here, we'll talk a little bit about what happened last night in the NBA playoffs, and then look forward to this evening. Can a road team ever win? That's now the first 10 games have all gone the way of the home team. Even though last night we got a couple of really good chances at road teams winning, and then they blew it at the end. 225-9698 is the phone to the text line. That is 225-9698. Excuse me. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things or whatever else might be on your mind. Feel free to chime right in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, you can stay in touch with the show a couple of ways. Log on to kadsam.com or download the app. The app has it all. It's got radio. It's got the Penny News. Brand new edition to that Penny News will hit the website tonight at midnight, thepennynews.com. You can check out Big Elk and Paragon TV as well through the app. And, of course, the Skinny on Sports podcast, available anywhere podcasts may drop. How are you this morning, Jared?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little tired.
I can tell.
Out of nowhere. I don't know. Actually, I wasn't tired. I got a nice night of sleep. And all of a sudden, I started yawning. Out of nowhere.
Didn't stay up for that Denver-LA game?
I watched till about the middle of the third quarter. I think the last score, it was 74-59. The Lakers were ahead, and I was just like, you know what? Surely LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't going to blow this. And then I woke up this morning and saw what happened. That Jamal Murray had ripped their hearts out. The 101-99 win.
That's why we love the playoffs. It was incredible. It was incredible and fun. So, yeah, I stayed up. So, I'm
You have a reason to be tired?
I'm like, oh, man. I said walking in, I'm not used to playoff basketball and staying up and watching these games.
Listen, you forget about it. All right, so here's what it did sound like last night at the end of the game.
Nuggets, 12 seconds remaining. They're not going to call timeout. 9 seconds remaining. Murray's got to go. Murray lets it fly. Yeah! Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh.
I'm sure that was Nuggets TV.
Oh, that was the Altitude Network, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what that was.
Not Nuggets radio, because if that was a radio call, it was brutal.
It was horrible.
You had no idea what was happening, but I'm sure that was the TV describing Jamal Murray's game winner over the outstretched arms of Anthony Davis. And Denver beats L.A. for the 10th straight time. Now 6 in a row in the playoffs, including last year's sweep in the Western Conference Finals. They overcame a 10-point deficit heading into the fourth quarter. They trailed by as many as 20 in the second half. But somehow, some way, the Nuggets found a way. Murray wasn't very good until the fourth quarter. He was 9 of 24 overall, but he was 6 of 8 in the fourth quarter, including 14 of his 20 points. The Joker does what the Joker does, a triple-double with 27 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. Michael Porter shot it well. You know, that's a story that I don't think maybe is getting enough love as far as the difficulty right now outside of basketball for Michael Porter Jr. His brother was suspended for life the other day due to the gambling thing, and then his other brother was involved in a vehicular manslaughter allegation, and here he is trying to kind of keep it all focused in, and maybe that's he's obviously doing a great job internalizing that. With 20 points, knocked down 6 of 10 from 3. Anthony Davis was awesome all night long, with 32 and 11. LeBron, even at his advanced age, still playing well. 26 points, 12 assists, had 8 rebounds. D'Angelo Russell hit shots last night, 6 threes in the first half, ended up 7 of 11 from 3 with 23. Then the Lakers only got 6 points off their bench, whereas you look down, the Nuggets only got 12, but that doubles that up. And in a game that close, kind of the difference, right? L.A. falls behind 2 games to none. LeBron upset with the officiating, the replay center to be particular after the game, but doesn't matter. 2-0 Nuggets.
If there's any doubt, and there was maybe I was a little biased, but I was kind of looking for a window of opportunity for SGA to be an MVP, be really considered for that award. And listen, Jokic, he's got it. He was awesome. That stat line he had last night was the reason why you see why he's going to be the MVP again. He's so good. Fun game. That's why we watch them. That's why we stay up and watch them. And we always kind of had that thought that the Lakers could make this a series. The losing streak to them can't last forever. And the way that game started and then that ballooned up to 20 points, I thought they're going to split this on the road. That is huge for the Lakers to go back to California and make this thing a real series. And now with the 2-0 lead, the way that they lost is so deflating too. So, but Denver is the defending champs for a reason. The Lakers are just right there, but not close enough, or just couldn't get it done.
They've had a chance to win both games.
They have.
Been right there. It unraveled a little bit earlier in game 1. But last night, that's a game that, quite frankly, they have to win if they were ever going to have a chance to win this series. Leading by 20 in the third quarter, you have to be able to hold on to that one. And it just didn't happen. They weren't able to get it done. Murray was great in the fourth quarter. That's what we see year in and year out in the playoffs, there's just certain guys that no matter how it's kind of been going throughout the first three quarters, there's certain guys that have that ability to kind of to figure it out and make plays down the stretch. And I think Jamal Murray, when he's been healthy, has consistently done that alongside Jokic, obviously. But Murray almost feels more like their closer than even Jokic does. You know, Jokic kind of gets him there, and Murray slams the door in a lot of the cases. So, yeah, Denver's good. There's no doubt about that. They're the defending champions for a reason. They're basically the exact same team. Maybe switching out Christian Braun for Bruce Brown or whatever you say. But, you know, L.A., you start to see, you know, this – L.A.'s pretty good. I mean, this could easily be the Western Conference Finals like it was last year. It's not the way it worked out this time. But the Lakers, even at the advanced age of LeBron, you know, and Anthony, they're a really good team. And you can see why a lot of people around here were jumping for joy.
Oh, yeah.
When the Lakers beat the Pelicans and removed themselves from having a series with Oklahoma City. And you can see why. Because of, you know, the dominance when he wants to play, even though he's playing against the presumed MVP, Anthony Davis, for a lot of that game, got the best of that. And then all of a sudden kind of wilted in the fourth quarter. But so L.A. down 0-2.
Did you see that? Did you see where he was at the end of that shot?
Yeah.
In their bench.
Caldwell Pope came over and kind of tried to help him out.
Yeah,
you know, he's a former Laker, obviously.
Sure.
You know, it's just one of those wrong place, wrong time for Anthony Davis.
He tried to be at the right place. That was a great shot by Murray. I mean, with Davis on him like that to fade away, I guess Murray said he didn't even see it go in.
Nah, I can believe that because he's falling down.
And it just then the reaction was crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure he knew it was in.
Oh yeah.
Just sound would be able to tell you that.
Do you buy into the whole altitude thing?
I'm 100%.
Do you?
Absolutely. I mean, just, you know, there was that play toward the end of game one where LeBron and AD were basically playing volleyball over the rim, back and forth, and they were never able to get the ball to go in. Finally, Denver gets the rebound. You see Anthony Davis underneath his own basket just immediately grabbing his shorts, bend it over like, oh, my gosh, you know, probably frustration but also tired. And then what happens? Jokic, who is a tenth of the athlete that LeBron James is, just sprinted right down the middle of the floor, right by him to the front of the rim, sealed the game with a dunk. Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
There was a time in that fourth quarter.
I think you've seen it in both games.
Where you saw all the Lakers were just gasping for air, it looked like.
I think it's
every
happened
one
in
of them
both
on the
games.
Floor. They kind of panned to every one of them, and they were just hands on during a dead ball, hands on hips or on knees, and just breathing very heavily.
Yeah,
it got me thinking. Okay, I get it. Higher altitude, you hear it about every sport: Broncos, Rockies, Nuggets. And then I started, I overthink things. I'm sitting there by myself watching this. I'm thinking, well, they're indoors. Does that matter? They pump in more oxygen. Could they equalize it or whatever? I don't know. I'm not a scientist by any means. But so that's why I'm asking. I mean, do you buy into that narrative of, higher altitude, it's an advantage for any team in Colorado as opposed to one that's not?
No, I think it is. Your body, your blood thins. And as you become accustomed to it. And I don't know if it's as much that it affects the other team as it is the Nuggets players are used to it. Mm-hmm. That's probably...
Well, you always hear about athletes going to the mountains to train.
Mm-hmm.
For that, and then it's for that very reason, because of all of that stuff. Yeah. And even personally, I'm not going up to, like just recently I went up, visit family in northern Colorado, obviously higher elevation, and I always felt like I'm long-winded from, walking from a parking lot into a store or a restaurant or something, and feel weird, And so I always wonder if the sports thing, So I asked the question, then I think, how come the Nuggets? Yeah, they just won a championship, but if this is such an advantage, how come they're not winning a ton more? But maybe they're on their way to winning some more. I don't know.
Well, I don't know that it's just a massive advantage, but when you get into a series like this where the teams are quite fairly evenly matched, if we're being honest, all it takes is just that little extra that's on your side.
Oh, yeah. That fourth quarter was,
I don't think it's going to turn a 40-win team into a 55-win team that has a chance to win a title.
Yeah, see, I was thinking, has there been a study with this?
Right. But I do think that, in the fourth quarter of some of these games that are hard fought all the way to the end, I do think it could be the slightest of advantages that makes a difference. I mean, what were they, 10-1 last year in the playoffs at home? Already 2-0. Yeah, I think there's a definite there is an advantage.
Yeah, and don't kid yourself. It's not like you're going to take name me one of the mediocre teams in the NBA this year. Maybe one just missed the playoffs. Help me out. I'm trying to think.
Like Houston.
Okay, Houston. It's not like you take that team and suddenly put them in Denver and all of a sudden they're way better because they have an altitude advantage.
No.
Denver still built a really good team. That's the long and the short of it. They still have a really good team. But the whole altitude thing, it just got me wondering.
No, I think.
But I do agree. I think that fourth quarter, it had something to do with it. They were conditioned to it. Lakers weren't. And then I started questioning LeBron's age. He had a chance to hit that three there at the end, and he missed it. Those are shots he's hit in the past. Was his legs there? Was he winded?
They have looked tired, especially game one. Of course, and that's, trying to get acclimated to it. That's why, I really think it's even a bigger advantage during the regular season on just some random night when, a team flies in from who knows where.
Maybe at a second of a back-to-back.
Exactly. Gets there at 2 a.m. And leaves, the game starts at 7. There's no way to get acclimated. Whereas in the playoffs, you're hanging around there for, who knows. They played on Saturday. L.A. knew they were going to be there after Tuesday. So did they go Wednesday or Thursday to get there early to try to acclimate to it? And now, it's getting better and better. I don't know when they got there. But, I do think there is an advantage there.
Yeah, it's probably, they don't want to change routine either. It's like, we could go early, but that's not in our routine.
Yeah,
it would mess things up.
But that's the difference of there than everywhere else. Is you need to break that routine to get accustomed to what you're going to be dealing with. And that's just not the case at a lot of places.
Very true.
Huh.
So it's such an advantage. I heard Jim talk about this yesterday. And man, it'd be fun too. I agree with him. If it's Denver OKC in a Western Conference Finals, that is why that one seed was huge. Because you got the home court.
Yeah, in theory, I agree. And I don't know that Oklahoma City can beat Denver if all 7 games were in Oklahoma City in a 7-game series. But you're right. It's darn sure better to have it here than there. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
The other game, golly, Sixers had that game seemingly in hand, and then wasn't it crazy that of all people to be on that call was Reggie Miller?
Yeah.
And the way that sequence played out, Knicks down 5. Brunson hits the 3 that hits the front of the rim, looks like it's off, and the game is over. It bounces straight up, goes in, and then all of a sudden, they're just like there was in that game years and years ago in the Garden, where Reggie stole it and knocked down another 3. That tied the game then. There was listen, Jalen Brunson just hugged Tyrese Maxey as he was trying to get the ball. No foul was called. Nick Nurse was complaining about trying to get a foul call or a timeout called. When you look at him, he starts to do it, he pulls his hands back, and then when he finally does make the timeout signal, Brunson already had the basketball. So I don't need to hear that from Nick Nurse. That was on you, bro. You did not call a timeout when you actually had the basketball. If you want to gripe about Brunson bear hugging Tyrese Maxey, feel free. That clearly happened. But kudos to the Knicks. They just kept on playing. Hartenstein, he's not playing against Embiid. I mean, I know he is, but it's not the Embiid. But even then, he really made a difference, offensive rebounding a couple of different times. I mean, I know there for a while, even late into the fourth quarter, Embiid hadn't got a rebound in the second half. Part of that's he's clearly not 100%.
No, he's not.
And to be honest with you, kudos for that guy for battling the way he is in this series. But the Knicks just were able to make a play or two extra there. You know, DiVincenzo gets one shot, misses. Hartenstein got the rebound, works his way back to DiVincenzo. He cans a three. And the Knicks go up 2-0 with a 104-101 win. 101 win over Philly. This has been the most competitive series through two games by far. All the way down, you know, both games have kind of been clutch-type games with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks somehow, some way have been able to make the plays.
Yeah, we said it yesterday. They're the team that we weren't talking about or maybe not giving them enough respect. And I think a lot of people picked the Sixers to win that series. You know, it's still up for grabs, but Knicks still commanding 2-0 lead. That's big. So, but they deserve a lot of respect. I mean, they got some of mine last night at the way they played and came back and won that game. Really cool to see Madison Square Garden full and going crazy like that. Yeah. That just takes me back, you know, to mid-'90s basketball when the Knicks were really, really good. And they've been waiting for that for a long, long time. And it's crazy. It's the largest market almost in the world, right? And no one's really talking about them. And I think people are going to be talking about them now. You know, but we said it yesterday, is it just inevitable for them to go and play Boston and then lose? But that'd be a lot of fun. New York and Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I know we got a long ways to get there, but that was a really fun game. Those two games last night were fun, and then there's the other one.
Yeah, did anybody even know that Cleveland and Orlando played?
Does
anyone realize?
Yeah, Sports Center this morning, they covered those two games, obviously. And, oh, by the way, that happened over there in Cleveland. Yes.
In order for the Knicks to really challenge later, maybe even to get to Boston in the next series, but for sure against Boston, Brunson has to be better. He's been wildly inefficient so far. 27.6% shooting. Last night on an 8 of 29, I think he was 8 of 26 on Saturday in a win. 16% from three. I mean, he has to be better in order for the Knicks to reach their full capabilities, their full potential in a playoff run, whatever that is. They're sliding by right now against Philly because Embiid isn't 100%. And it's been just enough. But in order for the Knicks to possibly, you know, make that a series against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, Jalen Brunson is going to have to be better. He's going to have to be more efficient than what he's been so far in the first two games. But it's still 2-0 Knicks. I saw this morning Sixers are filing a protest for the refs of the first two games, and they're just a grievance. They're filing a grievance, according to somebody inside.
What's that going to do?
Nothing. Make them feel better. And here's what it's going to do. Just like, you know, Phil Jackson was a master at this throughout his time, no matter if it was at Chicago or if it was at L.A. This is a ploy to shine a little bit of a light on whatever they need it to shine. But for the most part, all it is to get calls in Game 3 and win your first game of the series, and then it'd be 2-1. That's all this is. Just like when Phil would say certain things through the media. Next thing you know, you couldn't even look at Michael Jordan the next game, or you'd get a foul call, and he'd be shooting free throws. So that's all I think this is.
Think it'll work for L.A. too, with the way LeBron was complaining last night?
Well, if you don't think that L.A. isn't going to shoot about 50 free throws in Game 3, then you're nuts. We've seen this pattern before. Yes. Even the Thunder, you know, with Kobe years ago, the series that they beat them, that Game 3 was not every game Oklahoma City was going to be allowed to win. And that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. But that's also why it's a 7-game series, and you get one of those, and okay, whatever. You just win 4 of the other 6. Okay, so the home team's 10-0 so far. I think it was the first time since 2011 that the first weekend, the first 8 games, all went to the home team. And then yesterday, both go. Tonight, you've got Phoenix in Minnesota, you've got Indiana in Milwaukee, and you've got Dallas at the Clippers. Who can win? Who can be the first road team? Is there one tonight that can be the first road team to kind of snap this deal?
I think it's the Mavs. You talk about inconsistency with Brunson. I think the other side of Harden shows up and that's enough for the Mavs to take advantage of. And they still got Luka and Kyrie. I think they have a good night tonight. So I'll take the Mavs as the first road team to win. The other two, I don't give Suns much of a chance, nor do I the Pacers.
Yeah, the Pacers are the interesting one to me because a lot of people really liked them to beat a Giannis-less Milwaukee. And, Dame went nuts in the first half. How about, you score 35 in the first half and don't score in the second? That's an oddity there in that for Damian Lillard against the Pacers. I kind of think it might be them.
Pacers?
Yeah. Watching the Clippers-Dallas game, Harden searched out Luka. And I know we can say, oh, Harden was awesome. Well, part of it is because he wasn't being guarded because Luka can't guard me. And, they get him in a pick and roll. They get that switch every time they want it. And we'll see how old James is, right? Because there's been times in the playoffs that he has looked really old, but as a young guy, he obviously, even here, there was times where his playoff acumen was definitely questioned, and rightfully so. He hasn't been the best playoff guy of all time. Paul George hasn't. They were both really good in game one. I could see that. Phoenix is the one that just looks like they're dead in the water.
They've looked like that for a long time.
They played way better defense down the stretch of the season. And that started to be the case in Minnesota on Saturday. But then, man, that third quarter, Anthony Edwards just went crazy. And that opened up everything for everybody. And before you know it, they were just a punching bag for the T-Wolves. We'll see. Durant was awesome, as Durant is. Did you see the commercial that's coming out, by the way?
No.
The KD 17s shoes?
No.
Guess who's marketing his shoe?
Who?
Chet.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's narrating. KD is narrating the commercial with Chet wearing his shoe.
I've not seen that.
Does that feed into the conspiracy theory?
Have you seen his, I don't know if his latest podcast, but his comments when asked what was your favorite time? What's been your favorite time in the NBA?
No,
and he highlighted the Oklahoma City time.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I think he's trying to just mend fences here. I don't think he's wanting back.
Is he trying to get him to retire his jersey?
Well, that's what I think is what's
for?
happening. He's trying, and I think he knows that to do that. It's not. He's in the good graces with front office and stuff.
The easiest way for him to mend.
He wants the fans.
The easiest way for that to happen for him.
How's that? What's that?
Win a title here. That's a pretty simple one for me.
Yeah.
Who would forgive him if he won a title in Oklahoma City? Everybody.
Oh, of course.
Everybody. He could even be the grand marshal of the parade.
Of course.
No, I saw that
back to Milwaukee and the Pacers. The reason I like the Milwaukee without Giannis is because of Lillard.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Speaking of commercials, there's that commercial about his playoff. Is it a thing? Being, what's the phrase that Chris Rock is using? The playoff mode or whatever. Is it a thing? He's really good in the playoffs. No one really talks about that. Obviously he has a famous shot that got the Thunder a few years ago and Dame time and all that stuff. But I just pulled him up right here. He averages right under 26 points per game in the playoffs in his career. He clearly kept that going the other night. So that's why I like them a lot.
It's a weird thing because I think that trade was not good for him. I think Drew Holiday is a better fit for defensive purposes. It's one of those things where Drew Holiday can struggle just a little bit on offense, but he's a great defender. Whereas Dame is a great offensive player but struggles mightily on defense. But in a weird way, with a healthy Giannis, you'd rather have Drew Holiday. But now that Giannis isn't healthy, it's a great thing they have him because he's carried teams before in the playoffs where Drew Holiday hasn't. So even though I don't think in the grand scheme of things that was a great trade for Milwaukee, it's working out really good right now because Giannis isn't there. And Dame has that experience of putting a team on his back like that in playoff mode. So I do – it's actually working out better for him now than it has all season because Giannis isn't there. And Lillard's ready to carry somebody, whereas when they were both there, it wasn't quite the same thing. That's NBA playoffs, 3 games tonight. Phoenix and Minnesota on TNT, as is Dallas and the Clippers. Indiana, Milwaukee will be an NBA TV game. When we come back, a little NFL draft talk. Starts Thursday in Detroit. Skinny on Sports on a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday right here on The Sports Animal.
Paul Jones Drug is Elk City's most experienced compounding pharmacy, meaning they can custom make your prescription medications to your doctor's specifications, safely and effectively providing you with exactly what you need. And for your convenience, Paul Jones Drug has a drive-through pickup window as well as curbside service for testing and vaccinations and offers free local delivery. Just a couple reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, The Sports Animal. Hanging out here on a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday. We thank Rodney and the gang at Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main. Right here in Elk City, Paul Jones Drug is care you can trust. They are the oldest compounding pharmacy in Elk City. That means they have the most experience doing it. Free local delivery. Drive-through pickup, curbside testing. They can curbside vaccinate you, or you can also pick up your blister packs, which is their long-term care unit packaging. Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main. Paul Jones Drug is care you can trust. NFL Draft coming up, round 1 on Thursday. Friday I'll have rounds 2 and 3, and then Saturday rounds 4 through 7. All 257 picks. Location this year in Detroit, Michigan. Suspense at number 1 is 0. We know who is going to go number 1. It's going to be Caleb Williams to the Bears. And I really think as the week has gone on, it feels like, unless there's just a major smokescreen, which is always possible, it does seem like Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner from LSU, is going to go number 2. Now, here's a question that just popped in my mind as I was talking. Has there ever been a draft where Heisman winners went 1-2?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know.
I'm going to say probably not.
That's a good one.
I'm going to say it's probably never happened. Anyhow, that just popped in my mind right then. So you've got the 2 quarterbacks there, the 2 Heisman winning quarterbacks in the draft, 1 and 2. That leads us down to New England at number 3. Conventional wisdom would tell you that the Patriots would take Drake May at the quarterback spot because of the struggle that has been quarterbacking in New England since Tom Brady left. Question. Is that the wise choice? Is quarterback so valuable that they have to pull the trigger on a guy that maybe they're not 100% sold on? Or do you find a team that is sold on one of these guys, is desperate to move up and create more draft capital? Because let's be honest, a quarterback in New England isn't going to make that much difference next year because the New England Patriots are devoid of talent basically throughout their entire roster.
Yeah, it really depends on, new coach, what's his name, Mayo?
Yeah, Gerard Mayo.
It depends on his vision. I would hope that they are leaning on his opinion on this. As of 2 days ago, as I was searching some stuff up, it does report that ESPN is reporting that Patriots are open to a trade.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll listen, but I think it has to be perfect. So, but is that vision, strip it down and start anew? Well, eventually you're going to need a quarterback anyways, but is it is Drake May the guy that they're eyeballing, or is it somebody later down the road? I don't know. I'd say draft him.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I'd go, but because you see that a lot. New coach, new quarterback, new era. Let's get them together at the same time, bring them in at the same time, and start fresh. And it starts at the top, obviously with the coach, followed by the quarterback. Create that relationship as soon as you can. That's where I'd go. But I think, but if they're open to the trade, I think, and that now, you would know more than me. I mean, what would that perfect trade scenario be? Draft capital?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
more picks, and then you got, the sneaky little thing about the NFL throughout a lot of these years is, the Patriots were always moving down.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't that great a drafting team, especially lately. I mean, look at what they've done. They've been terrible.
Yeah, they've just been kind of trying to figure out this post-Brady era, and they have yet to figure that out.
Yeah, I think some of those picks that they made that they were made to look a lot better because of Brady than maybe how good the pick actually was. You know what I'm saying? But that's they've got him, so that's the way that works. But I don't know. I personally like. It sounds like a lot of people don't like Drake May at all. I mean, I heard Spinozzi talking about Drake May and J.J. McCarthy in the same sentence. What? I don't think that's right from a tools standpoint. Now, the McCarthy thing is so interesting because he was like the fourth quarterback out of high school in the recruiting rankings, like the fourth best out of IMG. So was he and his potential masked or even held back because of what Jim Harbaugh did offensively at Michigan? Is there more upside there? Is there more talent there than what he was able to display? Obviously, some teams, it appears, really think so. Almost like, Dean Smith holding Jordan under 20 type joke. You know what I'm saying? And McCarthy was really good in the national title game. I thought he made some really good throws against Ohio State in that game. So, you kind of got glimpses. You just don't see the production, which, there's different guys that have been that way throughout. I mean, I know this. There's been a whole bunch of guys that have had massive production in college that haven't turned out any good in the NFL. So I don't know that we can just look at numbers only and decide, oh, yeah, this guy's got it or this guy doesn't. Because if that was true, Mac Jones should be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Right.
Because of the way they lit up the world at Alabama in 2020. So it obviously depends on how much they like Drake May. The thing is, I mean, it's such a valuable spot on the field. And even that, I don't think New England's in this spot, in this position organizationally, but when it really becomes valuable is when you can draft a guy like Brock Purdy or like Russell Wilson was with the Seahawks and get that elite quarterback play while you're paying him peanuts. Then you've got like a 4 or 5 year window to really kick some butt. If your team is kind of, prepared. That's why I think Minnesota is such an attractive spot for one of these quarterbacks because they seem built now and continue to supplement around you before you get paid. I think Philly hit it with Jalen Hurts. With all the talent they had, well, guess what? Then they had to pay him. Yeah. And now we're starting to say, I don't know about Jalen Hurts. So that's the part where that's the part where, even though it doesn't seem like New England is that ready for it, if say May ends up being even better than you think, that makes some of these guys that haven't looked very good look better than they were. He makes guys, brings up their level of play. Then you're like, oh man, we're one draft away from being really good again, and we're paying our quarterback nothing. So that's the part where it's really hard to skip. When you're so lacking at that position, it's really hard to turn a guy down just because of how not only valuable that position is at quarterback, and it seems like it'd have a pretty good one to win, but also how important it is to get a good one young.
Yeah.
And you can really have a chance to win. I think they'll take
Before
a
you
quarterback.
have to-
Before you have to start paying him.
Yeah.
I think they'll take. I think
it's
that's going to. I think
it's a good
that's-
angle to look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe not for them as much as some other teams in a way, but that's why it's so enticing and it's why it's so hard to turn one down. Then we got the Cardinals at number 4. Everybody that's making a pick for them in a mock draft has them taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Make a lot of sense, obviously, with what they've got and what they need. Do you think they'll make that pick, or do you think that somebody will bring them a trade offer that is just too enticing to turn down, and then they'll – I mean, I think if it's me, just looking at the way this board lays and looking at who has been rumored to kind of like quarterbacks, if I'm Arizona, I know Minnesota's down there at 11, but I'm hoping that New York, the Giants – are the ones that decide they're done with Daniel Jones. We love J.J. McCarthy. And the reason I say that is because that only puts you down. You may not get as much back, but it also puts you down just 2 spots, meaning you're going to get a choice of whoever you like better, more than likely, between Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze at the receiver spot, which it's obvious they want one, need one. And you can get one of the top 3 if it's the Giants you trade with. If you trade all the way down to where the Vikings are at 11, I don't know if they're still going to be on the board. Maybe, but maybe not.
I'm such a conservative, so conservative when it comes to these scenarios, so I'd say stay at 4. If that's the guy on your big board is Harrison Jr., then get him.
Well, the thing about the Cardinals that they have that we're not seeing in New England is the Cardinals have 2 first-round picks. So even let's say they, what I'm saying is they would have the ammo to trade back, gain something, and then maybe even move back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say they made the trade to 11.
Okay.
With Minnesota.
Okay.
I don't know, they'll obviously get the 11th pick and then something else. They'll get other stuff. Well, would 11 and 20, let's say 11 and 27 be enough to move back to where the, say, Titans are? At 7. Probably so. I mean, heck, could they trade down if they really liked Marvin Harrison? Would they be able to move back to 11 with the trade with Minnesota, and then say package 11 and 27 to get back up to 5 with the Chargers, and take Harrison still? There's different scenarios in there for Arizona because of the virtue of having that other pick that they got from Houston a year ago in those first round trades. So they would have the ammo to be able to do something like that. I wonder about Marvin Harrison. He didn't do anything throughout the process. He did nothing.
Was that because his agent or
I'm sure
parents or whoever said, you're a lock top 5 guy?
Seemed like it.
He said, then why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I got nothing else to show anybody. They've seen it. Go pull the film. I'm good.
Seems like that's the case. You're starting to hear a little bit of buzz. I mean, this happens every year with different players. I mean, he's been since they lost to Georgia 2 years ago in the playoff. He's been the consensus number 1 wide receiver in college football this year, and going to be the first one taken off the board and all that. And now, of course, we're 2 days short, and it's Malik Neighbors flying up the board. I think he's the best receiver in the draft. You're starting to hear these. And you don't know who's saying it because it's always anonymous. Is it somebody's agent? Is it a team that really wants, is it? Let's say, is it the Chargers who want somebody to screw around and take Malik Neighbors instead of Marvin so they can get Marvin at 5? You know what I mean? You just never know where all this stuff comes from.
I think the McCarthy thing's such a lot of smoke, in my opinion, for reasons like that.
Trying to get somebody talked into doing something stupid.
Yeah.
I could see it. And if it wasn't quarterback, I would be saying that. Oh, there's no way. But because it's that position, I mean, I could honestly listen. It's weird as the Patriots have been at times, I could see them taking McCarthy at 3 over Drake May if that's their choice.
Mm-hmm.
I could absolutely see that. Michigan tie with Brady, winner, trying to recreate the magic. I could see it. And then all of a sudden now, I mean, if you're Arizona, you probably hope that happens. Because the two questions either be what's wrong with Drake May or, wow, they're idiots. Now I can trade up with her. Maybe that sweetens the pot for the Cardinals to move down with possibility if Drake May is there. Who do you think's the best player in this draft?
Well, that conventional wisdom answer is Caleb Williams. But I think if you dive down deeper, there's someone else. And Harrison Jr. is a guy that I think can immediately, if it is Arizona, can make them better. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a guy because of what's there. If Murray can stay healthy and all that, I think that's a guy you put him on a team like in Arizona or someone with an established quarterback that can make them better. Because the unknowns around Caleb Williams, and we know what he is and what he can do athletically and his skill set and all of that, but is it going to work? That's the question. Is it going to work in Chicago? We've seen a lot of quarterbacks come and go in Chicago.
Yeah.
And what's built around him. He can't run all day. It's the NFL. Just can't do it. But so I that's a guy, because he's so high on this mock anyways I'm looking at, that outside of a quarterback, he'd be the first guy not a quarterback taken if it stays like by way of this mock draft. I think he can be really, really good. Now I'm sure there's an offensive tackle somewhere or a lineman somewhere that can change, that can a lot of people like too. So I'll say either him or Bowers maybe. Brock Bowers kind of had that same idea, but if he goes to a place without a quarterback, I kind of said that last week we were talking about this. If he goes to a Denver, well, who's going to throw to him?
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What if Zach Wilson?
Okay.
What if maybe Sean Payton turns Zach Wilson into Drew Brees light? Now, listen, we haven't seen any evidence that that's possible. But if I'm Zach Wilson, I'm happier to be where I'm at today than I was where I was at yesterday because of Sean Payton.
Yeah.
But I think it's Caleb. I do. I think he's a weirdo. But, man, he is so talented. So very talented that, maybe he can be the guy that does, because the Bears and quarterbacks have not been good. It's been a catastrophe for a lot of years now. Maybe he's the one that can figure out how to get that on the other track. All right, last question: who can be this year's Texans?
Who can get better immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you got?
Minnesota.
Yeah, you're high on Minnesota.
I think they can absolutely pick up 2 impact players, one of which will be a quarterback, just like it was at Houston a year ago. And if they make the right picks with the talent that they already have assembled there in Minneapolis, I think Minnesota is the team that, Green Bay is going to get all the love in the preseason to win the NFC Central, and rightfully so with what they did in the playoffs. But I think Minnesota can be that team that really makes a jump. Green Bay kind of feels like the Jags of a year ago, right? Quarterback showed up in the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Watch out, here come the Jags. And then, didn't quite go as well as they thought. Houston was better. Next thing you know, Houston wins the division. I could see Minnesota absolutely being that because of the 2 first-round picks that they will enjoy in this draft.
Well, you know me and my affliction with the Chargers. If they don't trade down and hold on to that 5th pick and get a skill guy, well, I mean, what if Harrison falls to their lap? What if, Neighbors is right there?
Oh, I think they'll get one of those two if that's what they want.
Yeah. Put them with Herbert. They can contend for that division title anyways. Potentially.
And you miss, obviously Keenan Allen's been a staple there that's now in Chicago. How much does that help?
Yeah.
Caleb in his first year. But, yeah, the Chargers are one of those teams that you're just like, how are they not? I mean, I know how they're not winning the division because they're in the same one as Mahomes, but you just feel like them missing the playoffs altogether should not happen if Herbert is what a lot of people think Herbert is. And maybe that speaks to a little bit of his inconsistency that they haven't just been an absolute guaranteed staple in the playoffs since he's been there. But, yeah, I mean, it'd be a good spot. And I think they're the most intriguing team, one of the most intriguing teams in the entire draft because what's Harbaugh going to do, right? What's his idea? I mean, you can see anything.
Yeah.
From even to drafting J.J. McCarthy and giving up on Herbert. All right, we'll be back.
Paul Jones Drug offers a free service that makes taking your daily medications safe and easy. It's called convenience packaging, meaning they can combine all your daily medications and put them in sealed, separate daily packages. This process replaces you from having to fill your daily medication dispenser. And as always, Paul Jones Drug prepares individual blister packaging for long-term care patients. With their drive-through window, curbside service, and free local delivery, it's just more reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street, in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
No.
Welcome back. Wrapping up Tuesday, a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday edition of the Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM. The Sports Animal. Guess what the Tuesday special is down at the Boomtown Grill, Jared?
I feel like I should know this. Chicken fry?
$5 chicken fry plus a side. Tuesday at the Boomtown Grill, $5 chicken fried steak, one side. Boomtown's open every day of the week, 11 to 10 on Saturday or on Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 11 Friday and Saturday. If you're not in the mood for a chicken fry, they've got everything: steak, chicken, seafood. They've got great appetizers, happy hour 2 to 6 throughout the work week. 12 big stream TVs, 11 beers, 30 bottles and canned beers available, imports or domestics. Large wine selection, smoked old-fashioned, sandwiches, salads. They've got it all. Boomtown Grill, 2103 South Main, right here in Elk City. High school sports, spring sports are amazingly just about to wrap up. It's crazy to think that we're already, it's almost summertime. So we've got the regional tournaments for both baseball and slow pitch softball released yesterday. Now, I've seen some different day changes. You'll have to help me with that. But I know where everybody's going. And so in 4A baseball, Elk City will host McLeod and Purcell. Woodward heads to Blanchard. Plainview's there also. Those are those are 3-team regionals. Now, the 4-teamers, Clinton will go to Bethany, along with Sulphur and Harding Charter. Weatherford heads to Chickasha. Ardmore and Seminole are there as well. In Class A, Shattuck's at Tushka with Red Oak and Hominy. Sentinels at Dewar, along with Drumright and Stonewall. Cheyenne-Raiden, Hydro-Eakley, and Union City will all go to Rattan. Repo Butler hosts. They'll welcome Velma, Alma, Allen, and Ripley. And then Canute and Bingeroni will head to Caddo, along with Depew. Now, I think that one's going to start Wednesday. For sure. Then in Class B, Leedy's at Kiowa, along with Covington, Douglas, and Omega. That one's going to start Wednesday. Granite goes to Caney with Moss and Frontier. Navajo hosts Turner, Mason, and Asher. Then there's a whole host of Western Oklahoma Golden East. Arnett, Blair, and Visay all go to Tupelo. Then Hammond goes to Calumet with Maud and Big Pasture. Any besides those two that you've seen that are moving to Wednesday?
It's the only ones I know of.
Me too. Canute at Caddo, and then Leedy at Kiowa. On the baseball side, I have seen that those are going to be Wednesday starts.
I think for weather.
Yeah, there's chances of weather moving in.
Weather on Thursday. They want to speed this stuff up.
Yep. Because, especially, neither one of those are a three-teamer, but those three-teamers, you play most of the games on Wednesday. If things go a certain way, you might be able to play one early Thursday and everybody be home before any of that weather might start. So that's the thinking there. Okay, slow pitch softball. Class 3A, you've got Carnegie and Merritt headed to Ripley along with Haskell. In 2A, Shattuck is hosting with Fletcher, Sealing, and Canute coming up there. Arapahoe Butler's hosting. They've got Rock Creek, Depew, and Woodland. And then Cheyenne Raiden's headed to Drummond along with Stonewall and Cyril. In Class A, Hammond goes to Bingeroni, as does Covington Douglas and Kremlin Hillsdale. Navajo, Fort Cobb, and Granfield all go to Turner. In Class B, a couple of hosts out this way. Mountain View Godebo's number 1. They'll host in Ryan, Scheidler, and Chattanooga. And then Leedy is at home with, what is it? I can't remember right now. Dover, Arnett, and Lakeba Sickles. And once again, we'll try to keep you up to date as well as we can when we see changes as far as days of the week, when that's going to happen. I should have looked at OSSA rankings to see if there was anything today. I could see some of that softball being today. Yeah, Cheyenne's going to play today. Looks like.
Okay.
That one's going on today because they were there with Carnegie and Haskell, right? Nope. Sorry. Scratch that. Merritt's going to play today. Yeah, Merritt and Carnegie, 1 o'clock. So they're going to get that regional in today. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? See, this has got Caddo and Stratford. That's tomorrow, though. And, heck, some of that could be tomorrow. But at least on the OSSA website, it shows Merritt's going to be playing today in the regional tournament. Let's see what else we got. College golf. Conference tournaments going on right now, both in Division I and Division II. The GAC Women's Tournament is up at Broken Arrow. Actually, all the GAC Great American Conference tournaments are in Broken Arrow. Southwestern Men in 4th going into the final round today. Sutton McMillan, individual. Not an individual, but one of the players on the team. He's tied for 6th. He's made a birdie on the first hole today, so he is tied for 6th at 5 over. Leader is -3, so there's not a ton of chance probably for that to happen, but a good showing there. And then also on the women's side, Lady Dogs go into today in 3rd, 2 shots out of 2nd, probably not going to reach Henderson State, who is way ahead. But a chance for the Lady Dogs to be the runner-up as a team, and then also Cordell's Megan Brown tied for 3rd going into the round today, 3 shots off the lead. We saw wild swings yesterday at Forest Ridge, so a 3-shot deficit for Meg, not out of the realm of possibility, I don't believe. I think she'll have a chance to maybe even win that. She was all conference this year, 3rd time she's been named that, so good stuff there for her. And then the Big 12 men are down at Whispering Pines in Trinity, Texas. They played 2 rounds yesterday. We'll play 1 today and 1 tomorrow to settle the Big 12 championship. Right now, Brigham Young, 3 under, leads as a team, 1 shot ahead of Texas. Baylor's back at +1 in 3rd, OSU +3 in 4th, and OU +4 in 5th. Sooners 2 under so far today. Jace Summey has made both birdies, and then everybody else that score counts right now, even par, including Ryder Cowan. Ryder shot 1 under and 3 over yesterday. So 2 over total. He's in a tie for 23rd right now. He's part of the first 3 holes of the day. As I mentioned, OSU off to an even par start. So that's the 2 in-state schools trying to claw their way back from terrible first rounds. They played better in the afternoon yesterday, and obviously a good start, at least so far, for Oklahoma, trying to work their way back. Only 7 shots back with basically 36 holes to go. That's easily doable for both them, and then OSU just 6 back. So good round today, sets them up for a chance at a Big 12 title tomorrow. Anything else on your mind?
I think we got it all covered.
A lot going on.
Yes,
a lot going on all across the sporting landscape. We thank again Rodney Skinner, Paul Jones Drug. 809 North Main, Paul Jones Drug Tuesdays. Paul Jones Drug is care you can trust. Everybody have a good Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow, one step closer to the NFL draft. And spring sports working their way to the state tournaments in a lot of the small schools. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered